Hey there friends, and welcome to another Fundamentals of Science video. My name is Daniel. I'm an educator at the Seattle Children's Museum, and today we're going to be talking about some of the science of vortexes and tornadoes by building our own tornado tubes. For our activity today, you're going to need two 2-liter bottles, one filled with water, the other empty, hopefully clear if you can get them. I had a green one and a clear one, but both of them being clear is helpful for the experiment. You're going to need a pencil, some duct tape. I've got some orange duct tape today, and you're going to want to use a tornado tube. You can get these online, but they're tubes for this kind of experiment. You can just look up the word tornado tube on the internet and you can find something like this. But it's something that has threads on the inside that allow it to screw onto the top of bottles just like this one. But before we get started with our experiment, we need to talk about what a vortex is. So, a vortex is a spinning tube of liquid or gas. So if we had a spinning tube of liquid in the ocean, we would call that a whirlpool. When the ocean starts spinning and sucking ships down, you might have seen that in a movie or a documentary or a TV show about the sea spinning and creating a whirlpool down. Or you might have seen something called a tornado or a hurricane, which is another kind of spinning vortex of liquid or gas. In a hurricane, it's a spinning vortex of both wind and liquid. It's water and air spinning to make a hurricane. It's usually formed out over the ocean. It sucks up a bunch of the ocean and starts spinning. Or a tornado, which is wind with a little bit of rain in it that starts spinning. It's a vortex of wind that picks stuff up like dirt off the ground. So a vortex happens when either cold water or air, it can be either, but in a tornado it's always air. We have cold air is moving in a straight line, like my hand is moving toward the camera right now. It's moving in a straight line. And then we have hot air that's moving in a straight line going the other direction. One's going up and one's going down, and they hit each other like this, and the hot air starts going this way and the cold air starts going this way, and they both start spinning. And as they start spinning, because one really wants to go this way and one really wants to go this way, and they're moving each other into one line that starts spinning, they'll start spinning around and spinning around and spinning around, and they'll be picking up more air and spin and spin and spin until they start to make a vortex or a cyclone that starts moving down to the ground and starts sucking other stuff up into the air. So we're going to practice and look at our own vortex today. We're going to start by me showing you what one looks like with a tornado tube, and then I'm going to show you how to build your own at home with some duct tape and a pencil. So what you're going to do is you're going to start with a 2-liter bottle filled with water. I have my green bottle filled with water and my tornado tube. Just like screwing something together or putting the cap onto one of these bottles, you're going to take your tornado tube, put it over the top, and start spinning it righty-tighty till you can't spin it anymore, and it'll stick. You'll feel it where you can't spin it anymore, just like putting the cap on a water bottle. Then you'll take your other bottle, you'll flip it upside down like a giant hourglass, and you'll screw it on top of your other bottle till we have something, mine got stuck a little bit, that looks like this, a tornado tube. It'll look like a giant hourglass. I've got a towel laid down because sometimes these do leak. Since it's filled with water, it might spray water everywhere. So this would be a really good activity to do outside or somewhere that doesn't have a lot of carpet. I've got my handy dandy experiment box here from the museum that lets me do different experiments and keep myself safe and dry because all the water will end up in the box. So when we're ready to test out our tube, what we're going to do is we're going to hold it by the middle part and the bottom. This is an area for a grown-up to probably give you a hand. And we're going to flip it over. And as we flip it over, we'll start to see some bubbles are popping up through it. Start to see how mine has some bubbles moving up as water drains out. What we're going to want to do is start spinning it. We're going to start spinning it, and as we're spinning it, our bubbles are going to start going in a spinning motion, and we're going to spin the top and spin the top and spin the top, and keep it spinning until our bubbles start to trickle up. And as our bubbles trickle up, we're going to start seeing a whirlpool form, and as our water drains out of the top, we can start to see our vortex forming. Our spinning water is representing that air. And as it spins and spins and spins and spins, we can start to see that it's making a cone shape, which is characteristic of a vortex. We can see our bubbles as our air is leaving. What's happening is our water is pulling our air up and out as it drains down in our vortex shape. You can kind of see that as it's draining out of our bottle in our vortex shape. You can see it bubbling up and bubbling up and bubbling up, and all our water is ending down at the bottom. Once all your water has drained out, you can then, mine got stuck. If it ever gets stuck, you take the top and you squeeze it, allowing more water to get inside. So we want all the water to be on one end of it. So see, I'm squeezing and making bubbles in mine. We want all our water to end up on one side of our tube so that we can repeat our experiment over and over again, because the mark of good science is a repeatable experiment. So now that mine is filled all the way to the other side, we're going to get ready and do it again so you can see a little bit better. So I'm going to hold by the middle and the bottom of my tube. I'm going to go ahead and flip the whole thing over so you can see it, and then I'm going to start squeezing so that a little bit of air gets in the top, and then I'm going to start spinning my tornado tube. And as I spin my tornado tube around, my bubbles will start to spin, and as my bubbles spin, they're eventually going to make a vortex, and I can even see there's little bubbles inside mine moving around. At home, if you have something like food coloring or glitter, you can add it to your water and it'll be even more noticeable that it's spinning into a tornado tube. We can see our bubbles breaking at the top, and we can see this spinning inside as our air and our water fill up. Air fills up the top, water fills up the bottom, and a vortex is made in the middle. If I had a huge amount of water, like a swimming pool, and I was able to make warm water move in one direction, like a current, and hot water move in the other, and cold water move in the other direction, we could make a giant whirlpool. You can also do it if you are in a swimming pool this summer or in a bathtub. You can totally make your own whirlpool by taking your hand and spinning it in front of you, causing that circular motion in the water, and it will start to make a whirlpool right in front of you. So now that my whirlpool experiment is coming to an end, I can start to show you what it's going to be like to build your own whirlpool bottle at home. If you don't have your own tornado tube, the thing that attaches our two bottles together, at home, what you can do instead is use some duct tape and a pencil. So we're going to start by taking one piece of our duct tape, piece that's about 6 inches long, and we're going to take it and put it over the top of one of our bottles. We're going to press it down so that it makes a seal around our bottle and makes a little flat area that we can see. Then what we're going to do is we're going to take another piece of tape and cross it over the other side, just like this, so that we have this little flat area on top where the hole of the bottle used to be. It should look almost like a little drum. You should be able to put your finger on it and it'll bounce a little. Then we're going to take our pencil, we're going to line it up over the top with the grown-up's help, and we're going to push till the pencil goes all the way through and we can see it in the bottle. Then we're going to move our pencil through just a little bit, spinning it so that we end up with a nice hole in the top of the bottle. It'll be a little hard to see, but I've got my hole in the top of the bottle. Then we're going to grab our other bottle and we're going to take it, we're going to line it up over the top so that the two bottle tops line up as perfect as possible. I have balanced my clear bottle on top of my other bottle, my bottle filled with water, and we're going to get some more duct tape. You're going to need to use a few pieces. I'm starting with a piece about a foot long, and I'm going to line up the tops of my two bottles. I'm going to take my piece of duct tape and I'm going to wrap the tops of my two bottles together so that they are stuck together in the same way that our tornado tube was stuck together. So I'm going to wrap it with tape so that it lines up really nice. And I want to be as tight as possible to not let any water through. So that's my first piece of tape to stick them together, and they should be stuck together. I can't knock the top bottle off the bottom bottle anymore. Then I'm going to take another foot-long piece of tape and I'm going to put it over the other tape, overlapping just a little bit so that my two bottles will stick together even better. And as they are stuck together with our second piece of tape, that should be hopefully enough that it won't leak. Now, when we try our experiment, if it leaks, go ahead and add some more tape. But we're going to do exactly the same thing that we did with our tornado tube. We're going to take it and hold it by the middle and support the bottom. And we're going to go ahead and flip our tornado tube over and see how our water is draining out in the same way that it was draining with our tornado tube. We're then going to spin the top bottle. Spin it till we get those bubbles spinning. And I can see lots of little bubbles spinning in mine, but I don't yet see a whirlpool, so we're going to spin and spin and spin and spin till eventually we start to see our tornado forming. My tornado is forming really slow today, so I'm actually going to squeeze my bottle a little and spin till I can see my bubbles start spinning. I'm almost there with my tornado. Well, my tornado's not working. Oh, it almost happened. Sometimes it's a little tricky to get our cyclone going, but we always want to keep trying. Whenever we're doing science, sometimes our experiments don't work, and it's important to think about what we can change to make our experiments work better. Mine's working really slowly right now, so I might need to undo my tape and add a little bit more, a little bit larger of a hole to make it work. I'm spinning and squeezing, but I'm still not getting a very good tornado. So let me make some adjustments and let's try again. All right, I've gone ahead and made a much larger hole in the top of my bottle with my pencil, and now I'm going to reattach the other bottle and see if that will make our tornado tube work a little bit better. So the same way that we did before, I'm going to take my top bottle, I'm going to line it up over my bottom bottle, and I'm going to go ahead and grab some of my duct tape. And I'm going to line up my two bottles together. And I'm going to stick them together with my duct tape. spin it around my bottles so that they stick together. And then I'm going to get my second piece and make a nice seal between the two. So that they hopefully will work and help me make a cyclone. So what we're going to do is we're going to make sure all our tape is stuck down as best as possible, and we're going to do that same thing we did before. We hold with the middle, we brace on the bottom, and then we let our water drain out. My water seems to be draining pretty well. But then what I'm going to do is I'm going to start spinning my top bottle and seeing if I can get that cyclone going. And we can see with a larger hole we have a much larger tornado, but it's draining out a lot faster. And mine's leaking some, which is why I have this nice box and why we should do it outside. We can see our tornado is spinning and pulling everything down and moving all our air up. And that is how we can make a tornado tube, and that's how we can make our own vortex at home. So, whenever you hear about a hurricane or a tornado or a vortex, you can think, I can make one of those at home, and know that it's made by something hot, like a hot stream of water or a hot stream of air, and a cold stream of water meeting, going different directions, and they will, one moving down, one moving up, start spinning and spinning like a wheel in the sky that eventually will make a tornado that's coming to the ground and start moving. Thank you so much for joining me for Tornado Tubes today. I can't wait to hear about and see some of your awesome tornadoes at home. Thank you for joining us, and I hope you'll check out some of the other programs we have here at the Seattle Children's Museum at home.